Hey, thanks for being a part of the conversation. Let's do some pod crashing. Episode number 249 is with Bruce Bozzi from Table for Two.
Good morning.
How are you doing today, Bruce?
I'm doing great, Al. How are you?
Fantastic. I've been waiting to talk with you because you have a way of creating conversation. You don't interview people. You just have this way of bringing out the humanism of some of the most creative people on the planet.
Thank you. That means a lot to me. Thank you very much. I love doing it. It's special.
Who did you study to do this? Because, is this something that you did as you were growing up? You would watch your parents having conversations with people? Because this is a natural flow.
I think it really was working for my family in the restaurant business. I worked for 30 years at Palm when my family was involved in that, and my great-grandfather co-founded the Palm restaurant. And I worked in every aspect of the restaurant, so it's all about people, and it's all about hospitality, and it was all about, working with not only the staff, but the customers. And I love people, and I think that was sort of getting an education in conversation and the love of conversation, and that's really where it just birthed.
Man, you just gave me the total vision of the experiences that I've had so many times at the Palm here in Charlotte. Because it is about connection. It is about that conversation. And I have never been rushed in the Palm ever. And I think that inside my heart, I'm going, I'm in a place that you're okay to feel incredible.
Yeah, I love that. And Joey, who we're no longer with the Palm. 2 years ago, the whole thing just kind of went away in a unfortunate family, kind of blow up. But we fundamentally understood culturally at the Palm. It grew for all those years based on relationships, and the relationships with Joey, who was running the Palm there, or with the customers. That's what it was all about. Food is food, and you want food to be good. You're coming in to experience a good meal, high quality, and that was always where we set the bar. But at the end of the day, the relationships were the most important, and I think that was just a strength. And I think probably growing up in New York, just always around people, and coming from an Italian American family, that was about, whether we were laughing or screaming or crying at each other with all the passion, it was connection.
Yeah. The podcast we're talking about is Table for Two. I just as a listener, because I believe totally in theater of the mind, and I think that's the reason why I love podcasting, is that I envision that you've got these microphones that just happen to be sitting on the table. They're not visible, let's say, but they're just there, and you just happen to catch real people moments.
Completely. So the beauty of Table for Two is it's very intimate, and that's very important to me, that it's an intimate lunch with someone that wants to have lunch with me, and I want to have lunch with them, and that makes it very special. So the microphones are no one else is around us, and which lends itself for the intimacy of the meal and the romance of the meal, and for us to have a conversation. And what inevitably happens and I think of it just like if you and I would have lunch, Errol, we would sit down, I'd start to talk to you about something, and you'd ask me a question, and then it curves. And if you're listening to somebody, you go, oh wait, what happened there? And it was maybe not intended to even be spoken about. And that's kind of the beauty of it. And I think when people pull up a chair and listen to this podcast, it's really special for them to not only know what we're eating, but they're really getting to know the person that they want to know more about.
You know what's going to happen here, Bruce, when people really start digging in and listening to each one of these episodes, is the fact that they're going to come with their cup of coffee. They're going to come with a little snack. They're going to come with food, because, to hear people having lunch or dinner, you got to participate. You just got to become a part of the program.
Yeah, well, that's the idea. I love that, right? I always say, like, pull up, grab a drink, get a salad. We're all sort of having lunch, and and then you sit and, like, recently, Kate Hudson, I had lunch with Kate, and it's going to drop soon. And just hearing her talk about growing up, and hearing her talk about her mom and Kurt Russell, and hearing her talk about Knives Out and how hard she works. She really, like, rallied to get that job. It's beautiful. You're like, so, and I do think people. Chelsea Handler actually said at the end of the meal, she was like, "Wait a minute," 'cause she sat down and she ordered an iced tea, and then she goes, "Wait, we could have had a drink," and I was like, "Well, yeah, we could have had a drink." She's like, "Well, why didn't you tell me that?" I'm like, "Well, you ordered an iced tea."
Now, with Chelsea Handler, I've been blessed to have the opportunity to be with her. She likes to put it back on the interviewer. How did you keep her in tune with, no, we're not interviewing, we're just having a conversation here? Because, I mean, she does like to go that direction.
She really does. Like, I mean, the eye contact is fierce. Like,
yes.
It's just like you're in a tunnel. I was like, oh my God. I said to her, I go, "Are we on a date?" She's like, "No, we're not on a date." I'm like, okay. She does. She's able to kind of throw it back out. It really felt like a great tennis match between the two of us. Like, it was fun, good spirited, but back and forth. So I think I locked eyes, Arrow, and I didn't, like, look away.
Well, see, now that's one thing that I've learned over the years of sharing conversations is that eye contact is so important, because and it's even being with Will Smith and stuff like that. It's you start the conversation, but don't disconnect.
Yes, that's so true. So when I sit down, I do research, we're having this conversation, and then I put it to the side, and I in my head, I know where I want to go, but I never like to look away, because I look away, if I look down at the card, it breaks the rhythm of the conversation, and it doesn't feel sort of natural to the lunch. So it's really important. And contact, I mean, I think I've always been pretty good at eye contact based on my job in the restaurants, but that's the key. That makes people feel safe. If you're looking at them in the eyes, they feel safe, and it's much more enjoyable. I mean, when someone's like shifty and they're not looking at you in the eye, you're like, know what's going on here.
Well, that to me is when you can start using your inflection and things, and kind of rough up the situation in a way of saying, okay, I'm right here. Look at these eyes right here. Look at me in the eyes.
Yeah. And through the eyes, Arrow, what happens a lot too, if someone's talking about something emotional on Table for Two, my eyes get misty.
Yes.
You get sensitive, and I see their eyes getting sensitive, and you react off of that. It really does inform the conversation, and the listener hears that as well. They understand, and I think it's very meaningful, and that's why I really do think this is unique. I have to say, Octavia Spencer came in the other day. She's so wonderful, and she was like, "Wait a minute, this is great. Like, how come I never knew about this, or how come?" And I surprised her with a couple of things that when you pull up a chair and listen, it's a hoot and a holler. But I think that the uniqueness of, especially now, because we've been so now used to being on Zooms and not being together, the fact that this is in the room together, sitting next to somebody where you can smell their cologne and see their clothes, and it's that human fundamental just connection. And I feel like that romance is really a beautiful part of Table for Two. But it's not just, and it's conversation, Arrow, but it's not just like silly conversation. It's real conversation. Sometimes it gets serious, and, so there's always something that I don't even know what's going to happen that happens.
Do you believe in the philosophy of, my wife came from the world of rock, and she said that, I got to go to have dinner with these people all the time because, you know what, we all put our pants on the same. And she says that's how you've got to treat every conversation. We're all the same.
100%. She's right. And I think one of the reasons why, I'm good at it, I think, and I say that with humility, is because I worked, I've had the good fortune of meeting a lot of very interesting people who have been very successful in their lives, from movie stars to presidents. But I also work, with on the floor in a restaurant where I'm, working with waiters and busboys, and those are my people. So I never treated anyone different, whether I was talking to, George Clooney, or I was talking to, Alex, my co-manager, or, Arturo, my server assistant. It was all the same. And I think she's right. And and people feel that, they understand that. And that's really important.
During the lockdown, I needed to be with people badly. So my wife goes, well, the only place that's open is a Home Depot or a grocery store. Do you know that that for the first time in my life, I got to be with real people? And I keep going back to that grocery store because I love real people. And it helps me have conversations with other real people.
Completely. I understand that. I remember that too. It was like the isolation was insane. And one of the things I always say, I'm in New York, and one of the things right now that I love, I grew up in New York, is just when I hit the streets, the amount of interaction with people that I didn't expect, whether it's the guy in the dry cleaner, or it's the guy in the bodega, or it's, it nourishes my soul. So I understand that. And I feel like in a given day, at the end of the day, well, this was a great day. I had 4 things I was going to do, and yet 25 different interactions happened, and it was great.
Do you ever have those moments? I mean, when you sit down with an Andy Cohen or even a Jon Bon Jovi, I mean, when the microphone shut off, do you kind of excuse yourself and go look at yourself in the mirror and go, my God in heaven, how the hell did this even happen? Okay, come on, man up, get strong again.
Yeah, I mean, the funny thing about it is when the lunch ends, a lot of times we'll sit and talk for another 30, 45 minutes.
Oh, I would keep a mic going then.
Yeah, I know. Actually, the table for two is so cool, this podcast, because the mic is on as people enter. So the hello, all the small talk, like the one with George Clooney, he comes in and he's like, Bruce Bozzi, and he's screaming, and I'm like, but I don't ever take it for granted that I have the good fortune of sitting with people of that. I'm like, yes, Jon Bon Jovi. I was like, wow, I'm sitting with Jon Bon Jovi. I mean, this guy is a rock star. I grew up, we're the same age. It was a big deal for me, and I'm really excited for people to hear this lunch, because we talk about him. We talk about Dorothea, his wife, what they do for their community in Jersey and Long Island. They do so much. Who he thinks a rock star is today. What is a rock star? So I pinch myself and I go, wow, what I do? I did something right.
So what do you do in those moments when, and you know how kale is, it gets in between your teeth, and that person across from you, you're going, oh my God, how do I tell them they've got kale between their teeth?
I mean, that's tricky. I he's like, you always get really bummed if you had kale in your teeth and the person didn't tell you, you're like, what? Oh, damn. Yeah, sometimes, I'll wipe something off someone's face, and, but you know what, again, it's the manner in which you do it. If you do it with, a gentle sort of there's nothing embarrassing about it, it's appreciated, but it is a little tricky.
Oh yeah, because I'll thank them. I'll go, man, thanks for being my booger buddy, because I mean, that's what we do down there when we go deep swimming and stuff like that. You got to have a booger buddy.
I've never heard that before. I love it. You do. Because, when you come up from the water and no one tells you that, boogers are hanging out of your nose, you're bummed. So wait, you need something, you're like, dude, wipe it fast. Booger buddy. That's a podcast. Booger buddy with Bruce Bozzi. That's a lot of alliteration. I like that.
Dude, you got to come back to this show anytime in the future. The show is always going to be open for you.
Oh, man, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Well, you be brilliant today, okay, sir?
Okay, all right. You too. Have a lovely day.